Yo, what's going on guys? It's your boy Kurt, your coach of the Adelaide Absols, bringing you week 2 of APA Season 3. Today we take on Kyleaye, coach of the Miami Donphans. So this week I knew that I had a pretty bad matchup. I didn't really have much for a whole lucha there, or really Tapu Koko. Both of those things kind of just ripped my draft apart. So, going into this match, I knew that there would be a problem. There was no reason for him not to bring them. So, I brought Scarf I think it was a Assault Vest Magnezone, Scarf Kyurem, Bulky Mesprit, just because it could take one from Holucha and Revenge kill it instantly. There was defensive Gastro. It could take one acrobatics at +2 and do a big chunk with Aerial Ace. I had Stealth Rocks on my Mesprit. I had a really cool Shuckle set with Gastro Acid Power Split. Just in case his Shuckle wasn't substitute, I could get Gastro Acid off, removing his Unburden, and then Power Split so that he's really not doing much damage. It was a soft check to it. It was interesting. I was hoping that I could get it off. I was praying that he had no sub when I saw it. I had Scarf HP Fire Kyurem for that Scizor. P2 was another problem. I really couldn't break that without a +2 on Gliscor, and I had to hope he didn't carry Ice Beam, and I hadn't taken prior chip because Ice Beam did a lot. Mesprit had knockoffs to remove the Eviolite, remove maybe choice leftovers from the Seismitoad, ways to remove things on Haxors. But without further ado, let's just get into the game. So here I just decided I would probably lead with Mesprit. It's just my safest play. Or guard. But I do lead with Magnezone, just that was the plan going into it. But leading Magnezone here, when it was an obvious Koko lead, meant that I could get a Volt Switch off if he didn't go into the Seismitoad. So I had to just click Volt Switch here. So this happened multiple times before we actually got decently into the battle. This turn here took way too long to get right, just because as I switch into guard here, because I thought I had Trace, but I didn't, he does get the burn, but then unfortunately we DC'd. So at this point, when it DC'd, we had to recreate multiple times until we got the burn again. But fortunately I do have the Synchronize, so I can burn this thing as well. And I can get off a free Mega. I did have Energy Ball on guard just for this, but I didn't think he would stay in when he had a full HP P2 and I couldn't touch this. But he does stay in. Hyper Voice doing a massive chunk of damage as he just gets up rocks. That burn damage is just going to negate any leftovers if he has them. It's just a way that I can, but he reveals no leftovers. So here I decide I would just switch out into my Mesprit. It was my safest play here. He couldn't touch me with any ground moves. I could eat any water stab that he goes for, but he does withdraw, and he goes into Porygon 2. Here I was thinking, if I knock off and he Toxics, then that's fine, as I would be able to get up, I'd be able to get up my rocks. He'd be stuck with P2 with no Eviolite, means that Kyurem could break it easier in the terrain. Also meant that he was taking much less from the Hyper Voices and Psychics from Mega Guard. So all round knockoff was my best play, because if he did go Tapu Koko, I got to reveal its item. If it was Z, then I knew I had no switch in. So I just go straight for the knockoff here. And he does go for the Toxic, unfortunately. So unfortunately Mespira gets Toxic here. I was still deciding when I should get up my Stealth Rocks, getting leftovers every turn here. That Toxic damage is going to rack up, so I'm going to need to get momentum out of here. So I just hard switch actually, not wanting to reveal the U-turn. As I go into Magnezone. And he goes into Scizor here. Now I'm thinking that I can outspeed this, but I was hoping to creep this. I did creep no and speed invested Mega Scizor, but he does reveal he's got speed on it, so that's unfortunate. So he gets a free U-turn momentum out there. As I just went straight for the HP Fire, thinking I could trap him. He does go into the Seismitoad, and it does go down to the HP Fire, so it was a crit, but I don't think the crit mattered as the burn probably would have killed it. Here he goes into Haxorus, and I'm trying to bluff that I'm choice locked, so I have to basically hard switch here, as he doubles himself back into P2. Which is a really good double on his part, because I didn't really have much that wanted to be in versus this. And I went into Gliscor, so Gliscor really didn't want to take an Ice Beam. So I do get the Poison Heal, which is nice. I can't stay in here just because if he has Ice Beam, then I can't risk taking one. Just go back into Magnezone, because if he does reveal Ice Beam, I will eat this and it'll do nothing. So I managed to have that Magnezone in, get off the Thunderbolt. Does a decent chunk, but he just recovers off the damage. If I had have been able to Toxic this thing much earlier, then this wouldn't be such a problem. It'd be wearing down, it couldn't Toxic Storm me. As I just go for the Volt Switch, I need the momentum added in my Mesprit, so I can get up rocks. As he goes for the Foul Play, which is unfortunate. Base 105 attack on Mesprit plus the Toxic damage is going to put me in range of a second Foul Play. So I kind of just either have to get up rocks or sack here. So I just go straight for the rocks. It was my best play. As he just goes for the Foul Play again. So unfortunately Mesprit goes down without really doing much, but it did manage to get up the Stealth Rocks. So that's nice. I managed to get up the rocks, and that means that it just means that there's chip damage going around. As I go into Shuckle here, I just need to get up webs, just because so that Scizor can't switch out, it's trapped in. So now here I'm kind of stuck in with Shuckle because I can't really go in. The only thing I can go into is my Magnezone. So if I go, so I decided I would actually go hard Magnezone here. I had to make the prediction that he would go Scizor to Defog because that was the only Defog other than Tapu Koko that he did bring. So I kind of had to assume that he would go into Scizor to Defog here. So I just went hard zone. Managing to trap this thing because of webs. So I just fire up a Hidden Power, hoping he's not Spadef invested, but he is just enough to take the HP Fire, and he gets off the Defog. So unfortunately the rocks do go away. I can still get the webs back up, so I'm all good there. I can get the webs up. I just go for another Hidden Power Fire though, just kill this thing. There was no reason to go for a Revolt Switch or anything. It just didn't do anything. So I was hoping he would go Haxorus here, but he actually goes Koko. So I'm assuming he had HP ground at this point, or he was going to momentum into his Hawlucha. So I was just clicking Volt Switch all day here, but he does reveal HP ground. I did the calcs. I think this was a roll. at that point, just because of my Assault Vest and HP investment. So I just go back into Shuckle here. Unfortunately, Magnuson goes down, but it does get up a kill. So it's not looking good if he goes into Hawlucha here. I don't really have much for it, as he does go Hawlucha. So I went for the webs here. I probably, in hindsight, I wanted to go for the power split, just in case. At that point, because there was no reason for him not to go Coco there. I mean Hawlucha. At that very point. As he just goes for a Sword Stance, I'm going to reveal the Gastro Acid to remove the Unburden. So that means that my Scarf Kyurem can revenge this thing if he kills me here. I do click the Power Split again, just because there's no reason for me not to. If he has sub, then this thing can't touch it and I'm forced out. Here he goes for the subs, so unfortunately then I just can't do anything here. This Shuckle is kind of dead at this point. So I'm kind of forced to switch at this very point. So I go into guard and then realize that this was probably not a good switch in. I should have gone into Gliscor. As he just goes for another SD. So I either have to hard switch here or hope that my guard can take one. There's no way guard's taking one, so I'm forced out again. So at this point, Shuckle is the most sackable mon. Just because it... No, I stay in here. What am I saying? Sacking guard here was probably my best play, just because there was nothing else I could do. In hindsight, going into Gliscor there would have been good, because at +4, if I was at full HP, then I could have taken one acrobatics, but unfortunately, I decided I would go into guard. So that was unfortunate with the chip rock damage from before. I just couldn't do anything. I just go into Kyurem here. I kind of have to. I just click Fusion Bolt. I needed to break the sub anyway, but there was nothing I could do at this point. Gliscor I was sending in at that point just to break the sub so that Kyurem could come in and just start clicking Ice Beam, and then switch if he goes to Porygon 2 and start clicking Fusion Bolt. I had Aerial Ace, which just enough attack investment to break a sub at +1. So unfortunately, Hawlucha does just revenge all of my draft after the chip damage from everything, as he just goes for a high jump kick. I had to hope he missed there and had to go for the power split, even though Shuckle really couldn't do anything in return. So unfortunately, that's it. We did lose to Kyle in week 2. It was a good game regardless. So good game to Kyle. A link to his video and his channel will be in the description. And I hope to see you all in week 3 when we take on Jacob.